Hello, Marcus Lim here with the Sandman Deluxe Edition Book 4. So this is Book 4 of, I think, all 5 books. And I am actually late to the party because Book 5 is actually already out right now. So I'm kind of like one book late, okay? Yeah, what can I say? Just a bit slow with the Sandman. But yeah, here you go, here was, Book 1, Book 2, and we have book 3. Okay, but book 4, right? Book 4 collects the 2 storylines, World's End and the Kindly Ones, which is where everything has been leading up to this point. Okay, it's kind of like near the end of Sandman. Is there anything here? Well, it just says yeah, so issues 51 to 69 of the original run of the Sandman. So penultimate story of the Kindly Ones. Okay. Yeah. So let's have a look at this. Okay. Volume 4. Alright, so take the jacket off first. Alright, that's the jacket. Wrap around jacket. And yeah, so the book itself is also the same as the jacket. Okay, wrap around. Alright, so let's have a look now. Let's get into it. So, Deluxe Edition, Book 4. Okay, so we start off with so this is issue 51. So this is there's 6 stories in this world's. It's called the World's End, and it's like all these stories, each one one story per issue. They've all got this framing device, and the whole idea is these travelers, right? They all get caught up in some kind of storm, and they all have to seek shelter in this inn called World's End. And each of these travelers, they have a story to tell. So this first one is about the story of, I think, a guy who's kind of like paranoid about, I don't know, like something about the slumbering cities are going to awake or something like that. Okay, so that's the first story. So the second one is the story of the faerie, Cluracan, who, he'll actually feature pretty prominently in the next story arc, which is the Kindly Ones. Okay, here he shows up, and this is his story, his tale. Okay, and then we have this one. So this third one is about, it's called Hob's Leviathan. So this one is a story about young Jimmy, who's, well, he's a boy, but who's really a girl. Okay, and this is also a story of there's like a Leviathan creature, which is, there you go, Leviathan, and and Hob's Gadling also shows up. Dream's long-time friend. Alright, so fourth story, the Golden Boy. This is a highlight. This is about this kind of whimsical story about Prez. His name is Prez Rickard, I think, who's like the first teenage president, like of an alternate United States of America, right? So that's pretty fun. Alright, and then we've got this fifth story, which is, it's called a Cerements. Okay, so this one is kind of complex because it's like a story in a story in a story. It's about this mortician fella, Petrefax, who gets told a story, and he tells the story to people in the inn. So it's like a story within a story within a story. Okay, and then finally, the sixth one is more about just all the travelers and their in the tavern, and they sort of observe this funeral procession. Actually, here it is, funeral procession, right, for Dream. So you sort of like get the foreshadowing that, the whole Sandman series is coming to an end, right? Yeah, so, and that's the end of World's End. And then we start off here with the Kindly Ones. So this is like, I think it's a prologue here. Yeah, from, to the Kindly Ones. And then, so here, now we start part 1. Kindly Ones, and you see it begins symbolically with like a ball of yarn, string yarn, like a story yarn. Like knitting being knit together. Is it done yet? Is the story done yet? Well, it's almost there. So I think that's symbolic and a bit meta. So plot-wise, so I mean, this is really like this storyline, the Kindly Ones, right? It's just long, and I remember it messy and kind of complicated. It's a 13-part opus, right? 13 issues. Like originally, when it was published, it took over a year for readers to actually get through the whole story. So it's a pretty long time. But the plot-wise, it's about Litharge's, son who got kidnapped and I think apparently died. And so she blames Dream for the death. And so she's like trying to seek retribution and revenge, and sort of goes to the Furies, okay, aka the Kindly Ones. So this is Litharge, right? So she was trying to seek vengeance, alright, and that obviously triggers the whole series of dominoes. So here's the Kindly Ones. Alright, that Litharge is seeking to seek revenge. Along the way, we get characters who pop up, characters from in previous storylines, like back to like Rose Walker, for instance, just showing up, right? Because given that this is like the pretty much the final chapter of Sandman, right? Like where everything pretty much goes to a head. Right, it's like the final chapter of the Sandman saga, and so they all show up, and even Tessely, who was I think appeared in like what was it, Game of You, right, also shows up, and we see one by one, they get reunited, and tragically, they also kind of like one by one. Like drop dead, which is kind of tragic. But then, so the whole story has this feel of inevitability about it, right? Even Sandman himself, Dream, because of like a decision that he made, right? And that decision led to his downfall. So at the end, it's kind of like pretty, as I said, right, inevitable. I mean, you sort of see it coming, right? But at the same time, it's still kind of sad when it happens, right? So that's Noala's pendant. So that plays a big part in Dream. See, no, I'm not. Are you in trouble? You're no longer in a dream. So he's not in a dreaming anymore. It's because of her. And that's what eventually led to his downfall, right? So as I said, the whole thing has an air of finality about it, okay, which is I guess appropriate, right? So New Gamer put out all the stops in this story to bring it all to a conclusion. So here we go, near the end now. As I said, right, Cluracan the faerie does show up. And here's the last issue of the Kindly Ones. So you get this sort of like throwback to when the first sitting together in the bench earlier in the series, which is kind of like a cool callback. But yeah, so that's the end of it. But it's not truly the end because we see something here. The new dream. Daniel, fully grown Daniel, taking the form of dream, becoming the new dream. Alright, even though Morpheus is gone. And we finish off with just as we began, right? With the ball of yarn, and then saying it's done. So the story is done, it's finished, and it is. There's only one more epilogue to go, which will be in volume 5. And here's contributors notes. Okay, so yeah, interesting. All these photos, extras, all good things, thumbnail layouts, and what's this? Art for a t-shirt there, pencils and finish art, promotional piece, promotional stuff. Promotional piece, biographies, and there you go, volume 5. And the World's End and the Kindly Ones. But this is where Sandman, people consider this to be the final chapter. The Kindly Ones, I mean. Whereas next volume will be the epilogue, the wake. Okay, and then I think the book 5 will also have other stories as well, the Dream Hunters and Endless Nights, which we'll look at. But that's story for another video. But for now, yes, book 4 of Sandman, the Deluxe Edition. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you again in another video.